Hey, Kerry, how are you?
I am well. How are you doing? April Fools.
Yes, but we're not.
But we live in a joke. It's been a joke since November of 2016. So that
Yes,
way I say April Fools has been canceled
yeah. Either that or April Fool has been literally every day since that whole day started.
every day. So I don't know if you saw this, but uh 45 just posted he posted that bond about a half hour ago.
What the
The
100?
120, yeah.
Well, I can't say I wish him well. You know what I mean? I mean, just the
No.
fact that he has brought out the animosity in mankind is just one of the more tragic things of this whole experience is that it's landed on our souls.
Mhm.
It's deep.
It is. It's if you think about it, he's dominated the news cycle every single day since he announced his candidacy in 2015 or
Yeah.
2014. Every single day. And progressively, it just gets worse. I mean, yesterday, you don't even have to be on his wish.com Twitter platform, right? Yesterday, he tweeted 70 some times before noon. Like it's just this bombardment of just constant exposure that I think all of us really the government needs to pay for therapy for all of us for what they have exposed us to.
Yeah, and I think we should do a class action lawsuits to every media outlet, including MSNBC, who, by the way, are probably worse
I think they're
than
horrible.
horrible.
Horrible. There's only one on there that I like. Uh the guy, Lawrence O'Donnell. He's the only one.
Lawrence is good. I like Rachel for like 20 minutes.
I do too. I don't Rachel is a wonderful storyteller and for the most part I do like her. But the problem that there's been more than a few times where she does what all the other ones do and they have this need to like present both sides of an issue. And it's just like you don't need to present there are not two sides to a lie. There's only
Right,
one side. And your
right.
only job really truly is to present the news. You don't have to make it fair and balanced because the news is not fair and balanced. There's the truth.
Well, I don't even think they could use the word news. I don't think anything related to Trump is news. It's just gossip. It's gossip. It's not we're allowing it to land as news.
Mhm.
It's not news. There's things happening in every state in this country to people,
Mhm.
to other politicians. Like one of the things I want to talk about today is I can't only talk about the presidential run, but I want to
Mhm.
talk about some of these other down ballot races. But one in particular, I'm so zeroed in on, I'm so excited about, is to try to unseat Jim Jordan. That is
Would
my
be
new
amazing.
obsession. So there's a woman who is
Yep.
running, Tammy Wilson. She's a character. I mean, I had dinner with her. She was here in Los Angeles. We went to dinner and a show and a performance. She's a character. So you can just, you know, she's not like a typical politician. So it
Right.
would be just so much fun to have Jim Jordan unseated by a woman of mixed race. It would just be amazing.
I didn't know she was mixed race. Let me ask you though, not to be the poo poo pooers, but is that district not gerrymandered so he pretty much can't lose?
Here's the thing, they did a rejiggering of the gerrymandering, so her
Okay.
chance is a little better.
Okay.
I had a meeting today with her publicist,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna I'm gonna kind of engage her with this community of what I'm gonna invite her on. I'd love to make sure that you're part of that
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm gonna just galvanize what we can. Is it an uphill battle? Yeah. Quite frankly, I think getting Joe to sit put in the White House is an uphill battle too. So while we're pushing boulders up hills, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Let's help a
Yeah.
woman DC
Yeah.
dethrone that heinous beast.
Yeah. And I think that she has a better chance this year versus last year,
Yes.
especially with the whole abortion being on the ticket and just how that's going to be to the forefront. And the fact that Jim Jordan really, I mean, he's never done anything ever, but his inability to govern has really been on display this last term, just because he's been the face of the judiciary committees that have done. He gets his ass handed to him every committee hearing by who we like to call Daddy Swalwell, Eric Swalwell, just hands it to him
Yeah.
every single time. So, I
Yeah.
mean, she's got a better chance this year. So
She's
yeah, I think it's
optimistic,
great.
then again, she has to be. But so that's something I want to, I'm just kind of warning you now. I'm enrolling you into this.
You will help. No,
No,
I
I
would
just
love
kind of
to.
feel
I
like
would love to.
I feel like she's, it's like you want to stick your hand out to certain people,
Yeah.
especially if, because I'm not big on, like, my whole philosophy on, helping others politically comes from the years that I spent raising money for AIDS organizations in New York
Hmm.
City when I lived there. It's not
Hmm.
about fundraising, it's about friend raising, because once you can
Hmm.
raise the friends, then it's easier to ask for money. But to just go to a stranger and ask for money, which is why politicians are nauseating, because
Yeah.
every conversation will end with give me money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I've been clear
Absolutely.
with her up front. I am happy to have friend raising opportunities, and this is what we can do and get whatever. So I
Yeah.
just,
Well, you're really, I'm glad you picked a race and that's the one that you want. And Lord knows we all would love to get Jim Jordan out of there.
what not, it's almost like more important because he is just the face of evil. It's like one thing is we watch Trump just getting away with shit all the time, right? But Jim Jordan's history with OSU, Ohio State University, and him turning a blind eye, and then I found out, I did a deep dive into that. Him and his brother during
Hmm.
that whole time had started a business selling Nike knockoff sports merch for OSU, and there was
Oh,
like a
wow.
lawsuit and whatever. So he's just him, it's just shady, 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 you know?
Yeah. He's super shady.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks shady. I didn't come up with it. Someone on Twitter did, but basically, I adapted it for TikTok. But basically, there was a picture of him, and he looked just like Gollum. He looked just like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, my precious!" Like that's what he looks like to
He
me.
and he
Just
sounds
creepy.
like too. He does. He
Yeah,
is Gollum.
he is Gollum.
Speaking of college sports, how's your son doing?
Oh my God, he's doing so well. He is in Kentucky, which scared me, to be
Right.
honest. Like, coming from a blue state to, so far away. For the first time ever, he's not within driving distance. He's 12 hours away from me. And he's in a red state. But uh his
They have a
football,
great governor though.
yeah, they've got a great governor, and he's in a pocket. He's in probably the most liberal pocket of Kentucky. Um, and his football coach, just he is your typical Southern football coach. Best friends with the judge, best friends with the police chief. Don't worry about it. I mean, he literally sat me. He said, "Don't worry, we
Oh
got him."
yeah. That's
And I
good.
was like, "Okay." I just, his coach actually is a character. He died. He had a heart attack and died, and then died like four more times on the way to the hospital, right? And this was right around the COVID time. And obviously he survived because he was telling me the story. But he was talking. He was like, "Yeah, there was a lot of feedback, from people's like, oh, you got that jab, and then you keeled over." And he was like, "Maybe, or just hear me out, it could have been the 4 to 5 cigars that I smoked every day for the last 20 years." I think he might be Republican, but he was like, "No, we're not going to discount my 20 plus year lifestyle as to this." But Sam tells me he yells at the boys all the time. He'll be like, I died and came back. So the very
Right,
least you
right,
can
right,
do is
right,
just get
right,
on the
right.
ass. So he's
So
doing really great. He loves
did you
it.
Did you used to watch Friday Night Lights? Remember that show?
Yes, yes.
What a
He is just a
fabulous show.
character. But I love like that school. First of all, the campus is beautiful. They do so much for their players. Like the seniors have a suits for seniors day where they have a tailor come in and they all leave, all the football players leave there with their own personal job fair, a fitted suit, because they're like, these are big kids. It's hard for them to get nice fitted suits so
Oh,
that
that's
they can be
so
prepared.
cool.
They give them like coaching on how to like do interviews, and like they take care of their players, and he just loves it.
Does he want to
He
go
does.
pro? Is he good enough?
He
Is
has a shot. He could, yeah. And
really?
they also too, that's that like that level program that he's at. Like they just had pro day for their seniors. I think they had 4 seniors, and they had like 25 plus NFL teams come in. So yeah, and we'll see. He's got 2 years left, and because he's a COVID year baby, he has eligibility for years. He actually will graduate with his undergraduate, and because football is still paying for his school, he's going to be completing his MBA.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Good for
so
you. Good for
he's
him.
doing great. Yeah, thank you for asking. That's my
So,
pride
and
and
your
joy right
beautiful
there.
daughter, we know, is just like angelic now. And but they have to grow up in a world that we have to save for them, is what the issue is, right? I mean, I don't have kids. I have like a husband that's young, whatever, but that's not the same
Yeah,
thing. But I don't
yeah,
have that investment emotionally in children that I'm fighting
yeah,
for, you know?
yeah.
But my reason that I feel so committed to this is because my mom survived Dachau and my dad survived the gulags in fucking Siberia. Not that I
Mhm.
should live in a fascist country. And that
No,
is why I'm going to fight tooth and nail in their memory.
yeah, yeah. That's so admirable because truthfully, they did not go through all that for you to have to be fighting this fight so many years later. I mean, my father and his father was in World War II. He was in, Vietnam. And I think about for me, my daughter, like just my daughter, I'm just petrified. I'm petrified. And, even in my nice, safe blue state that I'm in, if we get a Republican in the House, and I don't limit it just to Trump.
A
It's across. It doesn't
Republican,
matter if we get a Republican House and if we get a Republican president. We're going to see some major problems in this country,
mhm.
and so that's why I do it. And I got into it a little bit with someone on TikTok who was basically saying, how could you possibly support President Biden? And I'm a big, I mean, I make no qualms about it. I think he's a great president. But I said, because of my daughter, like how
Right.
that
How
is our
can you argue with
option.
that? There's no
That is my
argument.
option. I understand that we are mortified with things that are happening thousands of miles away, and what I understand that. But what is in with my control is, and what is my first priority is my daughter. And
Yeah,
you can't take that from me.
no. That's my whole thing. It's like if you're a one issue voter,
Mm-hmm.
Biden's going to win
Yeah.
in a landslide, but that's if you're really true to yourself. I kind of want to stay away from the conversation about the war because
Yeah, no, I don't talk
I
about
don't
it. I know.
think, every time I say something which has nothing to do with accusing anybody of being anti-Semitic, nothing. Like
Yeah.
yesterday, somebody was attacking me because I just said there's been a threat to what's it
Mhm.
called? There was a threat this weekend for an attack, and like now we have people that cheering in the streets for the attackers. No, so I
No,
hate
I
that.
don't, I've gotten a lot of heat. I don't talk about it for multiple. I mean, first of all, I'm in corporate America. I mean,
Right.
I'm already towing the line just being this visible. Um, but I do stay away from overly controversial topics. And I always have, but um it doesn't matter though. Like to me, the administration and the Democrats are our last line before we live in a much different world. And I think people don't understand that it's been my lifetime that women, and your lifetime, women couldn't just divorce their husbands at will. Women couldn't work in the workplace, or
Have a
women
credit card.
have a credit card, own a house. I remember before ACA was passed. Like, remember that? I like all these kids right now that are on their parents' insurance don't understand that just what 11 short years ago, or 15 years ago, they would have been ass out, no insurance after age 18.
Yeah, I know.
Every
It's
single one, yeah, every single one of us has a pre-existing condition now. If you had
right,
COVID, that's a pre-existing condition.
right,
Pregnancy was a pre-existing condition.
right. Yeah, no, no. I mean, to me, one of my campaigns is be a one issue voter.
Mm-hmm.
So if like abortion rights, health care, which is actually
Judges.
the same thing for the two of them,
Mm-hmm.
judges.
Yep.
How about this? You can't say you're an environmentalist and not be voting for a Democrat. There's just
You
nothing
can't.
else to
Absolutely not.
discuss. You can't, you're showing your ignorance by changing your objective by letting something that's happening away from this country. See, I'm an American first, and my democracy comes before everything. And the other thing that's I'm afraid of with the Trump and the Project 2025 is that when we see who he ultimately does pick for vice president, it's going to be somebody that the Heritage Foundation has vetted and wants to be president. And I would be only a matter of a year or so before Trump is like,
Yeah.
oh, all of a sudden they found the equivalent of Sirhan Sirhan. What a coincidence. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then Christian nationalism takes over America and boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
I think we're gonna take the house like in a walk.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the House at all. Like
Right.
that, not even remotely. I actually think we will have the majority before the election. To be honest with you, I think that we will see some more Republicans exit out strategically,
Yeah.
and I believe Jeffries will be the Speaker of the House by a very slim majority soon. The Senate is tough, but everything that we've needed to go right for us to keep the Senate has been going right. So we're still on track to keep that Senate.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we're gonna have the House and the Senate. And as long as we have both, then if it becomes the worst case scenario in the presidency, then he's just going to be like resorting to his like criminal behavior, and then
which he would.
that's when the Democrats get to act tough. You know what I mean? And
I actually, I'm going to be honest with you, barring some outside election interference from other countries, um I think I am confident that the Democrats will win in a landslide. I think that we are being sold a pipe dream that this is a close race.
yeah,
Um, if you look at anything besides the polls, which the polls themselves have been 8 to 10 points off, 8 to 10 points is the ball game. That in itself is the ball game, right? So if you look at the polls being 8 to 10% off, now you see Biden's pulling ahead in those polls anyway. So I believe just a few days ago, reputable polls now have Biden ahead in the swing states. And then you still factor in the fact that there's like a big 8 to 10% cushion. But look at the fact that the never Trumpers are, Trump is not winning. He did not even get 80% of the vote in Florida, in his own home state, Texas, Ohio. There was a state house race in Alabama. In
right, right,
Alabama, middle of Trump country. And she didn't just beat that guy. She ass whooped him by 30 points.
right,
And the polling, I looked at the polling. The polling for that race had him pretty much neck and neck, but they always had that guy beating her.
right,
And when she flipped the squid and decided to run on IVF, that was all it took. So I
right.
think the Democrats are in a good position. I also know that there's going to be a ton of outside election interference. So
Yeah,
that's my only worry.
yeah, and I also think that we just have to stay focused on those one if people. So there's two things. There's the one issue voter thing,
Mm-hmm.
And then there's getting the people who have historically, they're Democrats, just been apathetic and haven't gone to the polls,
Mm-hmm.
and engage 2, 4, 5, 6% of these people who haven't voted, because that's winning in the margins is all we need to win anyway, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
thing about, and the reason why I am more confident than not about the Biden winning is because the more hysterical he and his people get, the more suburban parents, they don't want to raise their kids to sound like that. There's no way you can tell me that you're looking at like a little baby or a 3-year-old or a 7-year-old and they're first going off to school and you're not like, he came home as a bully. I mean, that's like a parent's worst nightmare, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like the world kind of takes care of itself sometimes when it comes down to violence and hatred and whatever. And that sounds Pollyanna, but I really just would like to think that the good versus evil and evil always loses is going to just ring true. And the other thing is, I feel like we did this in 2020 and we can do it again.
I agree. I think that there's a lot of the hysteria we see is online, and you always have to remind yourself that online is not real life.
No, yeah,
And if you actually pay attention to, I will point out two things. There was a huge poll that was done of young people by a reputable polling agency. Actually, I want to say it was actually one of the Gen Z PACs, and they did the polling themselves. And what they found would actually surprise most people. Gen Z and the people that they polled, their number one issue. What do you think their number one issue was?
I mean, it should be environment or gun violence, but what do I know?
Mm-mm. It was the economy.
Really?
Yeah, it was the economy. It was like affordability. It was, the number two was something different. I think that the thing that everybody thinks would be the number one, I think came in at like four or five. And so
Really?
we have to remember that that online, the people who are the loudest are not the majority. And then the other poll I will point you out to, how we keep hearing about how the Black community, they're all moving over to Trump and the Republicans in droves. There was a poll done again by an actual like a Black super PAC or a Black group, and they found that, yeah, Black people have gripes. They have gripes with the Democratic Party, no doubt, but they still plan on voting for them. Like they just, and it was on the Roland Martin show. That's where I saw it, and they were
Right,
talking about how we are just not seeing this. And when
right,
you look at the exit polls from, the primaries, we're not seeing this narrative that we're being sold, because I
right.
think it's for primetime TV.
It is. It's the cable news networks are,
Yep.
that's one thing I have agreed with Trump from the very beginning. They are
Yep.
not our friend. And I don't care. You can masquerade him with joy and with what's his name, Amen, and even those people in the morning, what's their that couple
Uh,
that you
Joe and
know,
Micah.
Joe and Micah. I mean, they if they're not talking about Trump, they're not happy.
Yeah, they're the worst. Like they are. I mean, it's punditry. At
Yeah,
what point did we move from like actual news to, it's 24-hour punditry for the most
yeah.
part.
The
And
one
that's
thing
the
that Rachel
problem.
did good, I thought, was draw everyone's attention to the history of fascism in America and
Mhm.
that it's happening again. And I think that's an important thing. Again, it's only like one episode, whatever, that she covers it. But for me, that was like a reminder that, you know, it could be again.
I mean, we're closer than we think.
Mm, yeah,
We're closer than the problem is that the majority of Americans are not like us. They're not tuned in. They don't have
yeah,
time. They're living their lives. They're just like, man, they have the I think I saw a really scary statistic that like 85% of America has no clue as to, Project 2025 or all of the laws that are being placed in, or that are putting this democracy on the
Yeah.
brink. They don't know. They have
Yeah,
no idea.
I've been surprised with who I've had to explain what Project 2025 is. People that are smart and in the know, that read the Times and read this and read that and are with it and know what's going on in the war. And then I
Hmm.
was like, yeah, but then and they didn't know anything about it. Send them the website and they're like eye-opening. But
Yeah.
that's almost like being afraid of the boogeyman. It's like, it's almost like we're not kids. Like that's the boogeyman. You know what I mean? And the boogeyman definitely exists in this particular case, but I just think we can't fall prey. The one thing about me and my background, my parents, and what is the one thing I will say about this thing with the war is that my spine is made out of steel. I am not afraid. I just come and stand right here, any of you.
Hmm.
I'm not going to cower. And
Hmm.
that is just, and I think as Americans, we have to have that same conviction against some kind of, I mean, just the fact that we're having a conversation about Christian theology, like what? Like it's
Right.
not American.
Right.
It's
Like,
not,
what are we doing here? What are
it's,
we doing here? Like, I just,
it's
I'm
childish.
so sick of it. I
It's
don't give a shit.
childish. It's like, you grow up. I don't want to hear this
I
anymore.
don't like, what are you outraged about today? Every freaking day, just like, oh my God, it's National Trans Visibility Day. Listen, 99% of America would have no idea about National Trans Visibility Day if your dumbasses didn't make, now everybody knows. So you basically did a favor essentially now, because everyone's like, oh, okay, well, that's like, they are so exhausting. Like,
Exhausting.
just,
Can I just show you now that we brought up National Trans whatever day you want? Can
is
you
it
see?
National Trans Visibility
Look,
Day?
look.
I saw that.
Ha happy.
I did. I actually made a post about that and I had to take it down because people thought that I was like calling her. But I'm just like, listen, did you see the post that Don Jr. put up yesterday?
Uh-uh.
He said, Happy National Trans Visibility Day. And he had a picture of Michelle Obama. And it's just like, and so I made a post. I said, well, listen, I mean, you're basically saying that because Michelle Obama has toned arms that she's a man. So what about Lara over here? Like, if that's your,
I mean, if they're always going to make fun of Michelle. And I think you can't make enough fun of Lara now that she's a singing sensation.
she dropped her CD the same day as Beyonce, or her album or her song, or I don't
It's
know.
so hilarious. So wait, so you're in Minnesota, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
is any election there an issue, or you're just coasting in the blue zone?
I am just posting in the blue zone. We do
Mhm.
not have, I don't think we have anything at risk.
Right. See, here in Los Angeles, here in California, that is our Senate race is I think it's going to be Adam Schiff. And I
I
don't
think
know.
he'll be fine.
You think, yeah, okay.
Because isn't he running against a crazy MAGA guy?
A crazy MAGA guy, yeah. Who did good in the primaries because we had divided the vote between Katie and
Exactly.
Barbara. But
Yeah.
I originally was rooting for Barbara, but that was her
She
website
just didn't
really
have the money. I know.
her website
I
was
would have
so
been fine with
horrible.
Barbara too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I had a personal interaction with her once that made me have like a feeling for her anyway.
Yeah.
And when I went to the website, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it took like 10 pages to get to the point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but that's a problem with, we know as Democrats, the messaging issue. Like, if everybody that was running for something in the Democratic Party all the way down the line took classes on TikTok from some of us, we'd be ruling the day.
Yeah.
And this whole idea that we have to be nice or sweet, or there's somebody that I guess Harry was saying, Joe's been fighting back with like
Mhm.
one words against Trump. It's like, oh, he's above that. No, no one's above that. We're in the
No.
gutter, and in the
Yeah.
gutter, you kind of fight like it's for your life.
Yeah. I absolutely love the Biden campaign. Their rapid response team, I love them. I
Yeah.
absolutely and they get down in the weeds. They get down in the weeds and pretty dirty. So you can tell that the green light has been given for them to,
Yeah.
because they've said some oh gosh, I posted it on my Twitter. Like they had a calendar. It was like Donald Trump's to-do list. Like it was a calendar of his
Right.
day. And it was like from like 8 to 10, it was like do hair. And then it was like at 10 o'clock, hide in basement, rage tweet. And then at like 12, it was like sell something to raise I don't know. It was like shade upon shade upon shade,
Right.
and they posted it, and it was amazing. They are getting, they had a cake just last week. They were celebrating. I think they had like 2 billion impressions.
Yeah.
So they're doing really well. They're doing
Yeah,
really
no, no.
well.
I mean, again, we'll fight till the end. I feel that is why I'm having you as part of my let's get Tammy in there, because that's kind of, and anyway,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? The October surprise is going to change everything. So it's like
Yeah. What is the October surprise going to be? I'm actually,
Trump's
I
going
think
to
it'll come
explode.
before, I think it'll come before October. I think it's going to be a summer surprise. And I hate to say what I actually think it's going to be.
Uh-oh. Do you
I think
not
it's
want
going to be, I think it's going to be, I think there is going to be a
health
terror
scare?
attack. I,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
there's going to be a terror attack. I do.
Well, it didn't happen this weekend as planned.
No, it did
You know?
not. It didn't happen. Not with the boat. Which, by the way, did you see another boat in Alabama or
No.
Oklahoma?
Today?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yesterday it happened. Another barge hit. It did a little bit of damage. It didn't.
Well,
Um,
between that and all the airplane issues, it just shows you that, human foibles are just the worst part of like our safety concerns.
Yeah, well, and about that though, Larry Hogan used to be the governor of Maryland. And do you know that he actually is the one who fought for bigger boats to be able to come into that harbor
Mm,
against expert testimony? They said absolutely not. And he actually fought for it because, more money.
really?
So, I mean, if we're going to try and place blame, let's look at, deregulation is usually deregulation and greed is usually at the cause of most of these,
Right,
technical
like the
issues,
train stuff too.
like the trains and the air, like Boeing, and now with this boat thing.
Yikes. That's a good point. Well, yeah, I am confident that this is just going to be an exciting time. You know what I mean? But in terms of if there is what you say would be worst case
Yeah,
scenario, blah, 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 right?
yeah, or a war, or we get pulled into a war.
But Biden is going to have to act like he's got a big swinging dick. You know what I mean? He's got to be,
I think,
he'd
and
have
he
to be
will.
like real butch about it.
I think he will. I The thing about Biden is I am so confident with the people he surrounded himself with,
Yeah,
and how it's really like, if you think about any company, is it the CEO that makes the company? No, it's the team. It's, um so whenever I see people freaking out about something, I always just say, look, you have to understand, like, whatever we know, they have actual professionals. They're 3 steps ahead of us, y'all. Like,
right, right,
have a
right.
little faith. But it's
Yeah, and
still scary
it
because
is a job of kind of perception that they're in charge when everybody else is pulling the
exactly.
levers and stuff.
They
And
have to make the decision.
yeah,
Yeah. of I think Lawrence O'Donnell said that. He said, when you look at what the actual job entails, you have to understand that, like, being exciting, that's not what makes someone successful, because really all a president does is make decisions. So they are the decision makers. And people are saying, oh, well, he's sleepy because he's making speeches and he's not a great speaker, right? But don't you think we were all so spoiled with Obama?
Hmm.
Like, the greatest speaker probably ever.
Him, and then we had the blustering, bubbling bubble of blubber,
Exactly.
which would get a lot of attention. Yeah, and look, I'm not sour grapes. I'm not Monday morning. I'm not, oh, we shoulda, woulda, coulda, nothing, Biden was my
Exactly.
choice when that whole thing was happening with all the 80 different people that were running,
Yeah.
period. So we're
Yeah.
here. We have to
I
just
mean,
make
we
sure
are
he
where we
stays
are.
there.
You
Yeah,
can't change it now.
no.
It's like my friend Kaimon said, it's just like, okay, so you've been tasked with Thanksgiving dinner, right? And you ask people, hey, what do you want? What do you want? And they're like, man, whatever. And here it is the night before, and you've already made the menu. And it is what it is. Like, it's too late for you to come in and make changes. Like, we can't make changes. So
And you
I'm
can't
glad
not
that
eat,
we've
but you
stopped talking
can't
about
not
that.
eat. You have to eat. Is
Exactly.
voting. Eating is
You
voting.
need to show up and eat your damn food.
And don't leave one kernel of corn from the corn pudding on that friggin' plate. Anyway,
That's right.
so I love you. I'm gonna loop you in to the Tammy
Tammy.
scam that I'm trying to pull together
Don't say
here.
Tammy scam.
So, the other thing I wanted to mention that I think you have inroads in with the White House people, right? Or somebody, because I have never.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad they raised $25 million and they had all these big glitzy celebrity Radio City yabba dabba do.
Yeah.
We need to have, now that Beyonce has made country music a thing,
Cool again.
we need to have hoedowns as
Yeah.
fundraisers all over, especially in the red states where the blue voters
Yeah.
are in, because I think that's going to be a way to bring people together.
Yeah.
Like there is this
I
gay
agree.
bar that it used years ago that used to be here in the Valley in California. I'm in the LA, that's the
Yep.
Valley, and it would bring everyone together.
Hmm.
And I think that's it. And I would like, I mean, I'm telling Tammy to have one in Ohio because whatever. I mean, but I
Yeah.
just want, if there's any way, like I wanted to plant that seed. I'm planting it with everybody. I
Just
just
plan
came up
it.
with this idea this weekend, but it's a really good idea.
It is.
Small, intimate hoedowns,
Yeah.
a guitar, some music, some friggin' whatever snacks, and that's
Yeah.
vote
Yeah.
blue,
I
man.
agree. I agree. And I think that, I think Kamala is, pretty good at doing stuff like that. I think the problem that you run into whenever you do anything that involves the president, right? And is the freaking security and the Secret
No,
Service
no,
and
no.
just,
Forget those two. I'm saying
yeah.
we should do these in small, intimate things all over the country.
Oh, like just as Democratic
Just,
get-togethers,
just hoe down, and all are
hoedown.
welcome. But it's the Democrats leading the charge, and
Yeah.
music with Beyonce would kind of be an
With
inviting kind.
Beyonce, like, yeah, like
I mean,
listening
whatever.
parties.
I'll get it to her people in some point. But I just
Yeah.
had the idea. I gave it to Tammy's people today. I I sent it to this guy Bruce who did all those big events for when Biden was elected in 2020. I said, "Are you still doing Biden events?" Because I know I love him. Sure, I love Radio City Music Hall and the Rockettes, but it's
Yeah.
time for hoedowns. You know what I
It's time
mean?
for
And it's
hoedowns.
why Hillary lost. She didn't get
Yeah.
her fucking ass up to fucking Michigan and put on a pair of jeans and put a piece of straw in her mouth and hang around. Anyway, I'm all in for the hoedown. So start spreading that vibe.
Yeah, I will. I will. I love that album so much. I do.
So
I
let's
do.
dance to it, girl.
Yeah. I am there. Listen, I would be the first one. I would sign me up.
Okay.
Where can
Well,
I go?
I'm
with the
just
Democrats and do a hoedown.
I'm just starting this conversation. So it's kind of like that Fabergé commercial from the 80s. You tell a
Yes.
friend and they tell a friend and so on and so on and so on. And on
Yeah.
that note, I love you madly. Thank you for
I love
joining me.
you. Thank you.
Probably gonna one day this week. I'll let you know when it goes up.
Yeah, for
Then I'll
sure. I'm
take a little
excited to see
split. I'll
it.
put a little on TT. I'll put an outtake on Substack.
Yes.
Oh, and here's my book, by the way.
Yeah, I need to go get me a copy. Is it on Amazon? Can I order it?
It's on Amazon. You can get the Kindle, and or you could get a soft cover or a hardcover. And yeah, so
Okay, well, I have some Kindle credits, so I'll do that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
hilarious. I
excited.
got my first in Amazon, you have to get, everybody has to put their review on it. That's how you
Yeah.
get like credibility. And the first review is, read the book cover to cover in one sitting this weekend. The author's story unfolds in an interesting and hilarious way, truly captivating. I couldn't put it down.
Oh,
Isn't that nice?
that's so nice.
Yeah. And it's someone that is not a friend, but someone that knew
You
through
didn't have
social.
to pay someone to say
I
that.
did not pay someone to say that. And she's somebody who used to work for Bill Clinton when they were in the White House. So it's
Oh,
like,
well, I definitely, well, I mean, I know the story. I know the tenets of the story, so and you're a wonderful writer. So yeah, I can imagine it's a great book.
I reveal a lot of challenges. The idea is having survived some really big challenges and
Mhm.
pitfalls, and through humor and just grit, finding my mission and why I
Yeah.
matter. And that it's kind of a roadmap for everyone to kind of just get through it, because there's something there that matters, that you have to be alert and aware and not
Yeah.
like lost in your own bullshit to show
Yeah.
up for and then take it to the take it to the bridge. But it's hilarious. And
Yeah.
I'll just say the one chapter that is when I try to be a hooker is probably one of my favorite. The one night I tried is worth its reading right there.
Okay. Sold. Sold.
All right,
I'm
good.
buying the book just for that chapter alone.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Anyway, so glad we did this and we had a moment. And I watch you guys on Sundays.
Yes. I love my Sunday show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
love
do.
her. I love him, although I did a thing with him once and he said, I don't want to go online. I don't want to be I don't want, he didn't want me to post it on my thing. So I had
Oh,
to
really?
delete it. Yeah, it was a while
Why?
ago.
Oh,
It's all right. I don't take
yeah,
things
I don't know.
personally.
She actually designs these shirts.
Yeah, I know. I follow. She did my thing with me.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she's so great. I absolutely adore her.
Yeah,
And yeah, I love them.
she's darling.
They are just both of them together are like geeky politics nerds that kind of understand how things work, and so it's fun to sit and chat about that.
Yeah, they're very enthusiastic about politics.
They are, and I love that, because people in my real life, their eyes will glaze over if I'm even talking about it.
I
So
mean,
it's fun to
Kaivan was one
find
of the first.
people.
When Kaivan was one of the first people I did hear. He has an interview on here, but the second one he was like, no, 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 I don't want to put it up there. So I was
He
like,
didn't want to put it up.
yeah, the first one is still up. The second one he was like, no,
What were you guys talking
all
about the
right,
second one?
nothing. He just, I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
I'm gonna ask him. I'm
I'd
nosy.
be happy to do it again. I'd be
All
happy
right,
to
I'm
do it
sure
with
he would
four of
love to.
us. I would be happy
Yeah.
to do an episode on a Sunday and tape it and then post
Well,
it on
no,
my
because
thing.
we asked, we actually, your name came up because you had popped in, and I think Nichelle was like, well, Abe kind of doesn't like to do lives, because we were all like, oh, we'd love to get him on. So yeah, let's chat, and then we can figure something out.
Yeah, or at least, yeah, we do it here and then whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't like lives only because I've been bounced off the app twice by the people
No.
that, you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
want it's so frustrating when you get bounced off. As it
it
is,
is.
my views are down to zero. That's like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No, I know. I know. You do always kind of That's why a lot of people get frustrated with our lives because they feel like we're too, surface, but it's just like we have to be surface because you cannot give any ammunition to people to come in and
Yeah, no, no,
report
no,
and to, you
100%.
know, you really have to just be like,
Yeah,
keep
no,
it
no.
so G and not um provocative or not talk about
Yeah.
things that, you can't because you get bounced
Yeah,
and
no,
then your
that's
account is
happened.
at risk.
Yeah, it's happened to me twice, and I
Yeah.
don't want to happen again. I may try it just because of the book a little, but I'm just very I'd rather tape it and put it
Hmm.
in various places, and and
Yeah.
yeah, that's my thing.
Well, you have
But
more control.
yeah,
You have more
yeah,
control. And
yeah,
that makes sense. I get it.
yeah.
I get
I
it.
mean, these people who just do these 5 and 10 hour lives and just have a bunch of Republicans on there trying to convince them to what? It's never going to happen. They've drank the Kool-Aid. That's like, no.
No, I know. I popped in on Harry's last night and he was actually talking to a leftist and she just was going down the gamut of, and everything she said was wrong. And I just was sitting there going, I was like, I, it raises my blood pressure because he's not responding in the way that like I would. And then I'm like, but say this, but say, and I understand like it's different when you're on the spot. Um, but yeah,
It's
that's
too
for the young kids.
confrontational. It's just,
I get upset and I start yelling. So that's not for me.
yeah, no, no, no.
It's not
Anyway,
for
I
me.
adore you. Thank you for the
I adore
time,
you.
and I will see you soon, and I will let you know everything about everything that we are going to dance at a hoedown by the time
Yes, we're
November
gonna dance
comes.
in a hoedown
We'll
to some
find a moment
Beyonce.
if it's the last thing I do.
That is right. All right.
Well, we
Well,
can
it
do
was
one in Washington,
washington.
D.C.
Huh?
You get to
Well,
Washington
actually,
from
it's so
time to
funny that you
time.
say that because I have been charged with putting together a DC get together that I would like to do this summer um, for political folks to, just go to DC and hang out. And maybe I can swing us a private White House tour.
Well,
Um,
if you
but
do
yeah, we're
that,
going to try.
if you get to, I will find a bookstore in there in DC and arrange for a book signing while I'm there, and then I can be part of your thing.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yes.
mean that I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to do book signings. It's a whole new business. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. You got to do
But
it.
I
Don't you have
do
to
know
do
that
like a
there's a
book
very
tour?
cool gay bookstore in DC that I think would be
Okay.
perfect.
Yes, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. So yeah, we're gonna come to a time where we can make a trip to DC and do some fun DC things
Yeah,
and
no, I
have
haven't
a
been there in a long time. I would love to
yeah,
do that.
yeah, me too.
All right, let's shoot for summer, August something.
Summer definitely when it's warm.
Definitely.
For sure.
Great.
For sure.
I love
All
it.
right. Well, thank you so much. Love you. I'm gonna go get your book, okay?
You're the best, honey.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye,
Bye.
sweetheart.